You know the face, that gap-toothed grin, the tough guy swagger with a heart of gold. To millions, Ernest Borgnine was a beloved fixture, the Oscar winner from Marty, the lovable commander of McHale's Navy. He was the kind of actor you felt you knew. A warm and powerful presence who could make you laugh one moment and break your heart the next. His performances felt real and authentic, a reflection of the man everyone thought they knew. But behind the scenes, a different Ernest. Borgnine existed. This one lived by a strict, unyielding blue-collar code, forged during the Great Depression and hardened by nearly a decade of service in the United States Navy. And when some of Hollywood's biggest stars violated that code, he never forgave them. He rarely spoke of it, but in candid moments, a different picture emerged. A man who kept a mental blacklist of the professional betrayals and on-set sins that earned certain legends a permanent spot on his bad side. This isn't just a story about celebrity feuds. It's the untold story of a man's unshakable professional code, and the actors who, in his eyes, betrayed the very soul of the craft. To understand why a man so publicly friendly could privately hold such intense grudges, you have to know where he came from. Ernest Borgnine was born in 1917 to Italian immigrants, his childhood shaped by working-class grit. With no clear path after high school, he did what many young men of his generation did. He enlisted. Borgnine joined the U.S. Navy in 1935, served for 6 years, and then re-enlisted after Pearl Harbor to serve through World War II, bringing his total time in uniform to about 10 years. He wasn't an officer. He was a gunner's mate, a hands-on job on the deck of a warship. The Navy gave him a philosophy. It taught him discipline, punctuality, and that the team mattered more than the individual. On a ship, if one person fails, the whole crew is at risk. You show up, you do your job, and you respect everyone, because your life depends on it. When he was discharged, it was his mother who said, "Did you ever think of becoming an actor? You're always making a fool of yourself in front of people." He used the GI Bill to attend the Randall School of Drama in Connecticut, and then cut his teeth at the Barter Theater in Virginia. He wasn't treated like a star there. He was part of a true ensemble, sweeping floors, building sets, and sewing costumes before ever getting a real part. This only reinforced the Navy's lessons. Acting was a job built on hard work, preparation, and respect for the entire production. This became the Borgnine Code. Show up prepared. Know your lines, respect the crew, don't be late, and never, ever act like you're more important than the project. To Borgnine, an unprofessional actor wasn't just being difficult, they were a mutineer, and he was about to run into some of the biggest names in Hollywood who were guilty of just that. Borgnine's most complicated professional relationship was with Frank Sinatra. On paper, they should have been a perfect match. Proud Italian Americans, outsiders who fought their way into the Hollywood elite. They even became lifelong friends in a way. But their time on the set of 1953's From Here to Eternity exposed just how different two men could be. For Sinatra, this film was everything. His career had imploded, and he was desperate for the role of Private Angelo Maggio, so much so that he took a salary of just $8,000. Borgnine was cast as the brutish Sergeant Fatso Judson, the man who would torment and ultimately destroy Maggio. Their on-screen conflict was meant to be raw and real. Behind the scenes, a different tension was brewing. It was a collision of work ethics. Borgnine, the disciplined vet, would arrive ready and sit quietly, staying focused. Sinatra, on the other hand, was rebuilding his image as the chairman of the board, a power broker who commanded a different kind of respect, one built on influence and an entourage. According to Hollywood lore, Borgnine found Sinatra's on-set persona grating. While Borgnine saw the crew as equals, Sinatra allegedly carried an air of superiority. While some whispers from the era even suggested Sinatra tried to have Borgnine removed from the film, these claims are not substantiated and seem unlikely given the grudging respect that grew between them. The iconic fight scene between them became a flashpoint. Both actors were terrified, knowing their careers were on the line. The hatred on screen was palpable. Yet off-screen, something else was happening. They supported each other through the difficult scene, with Sinatra even helping Borgnine adjust, a move to make it look more convincing. After the film's massive success, which won Sinatra an Oscar, their relationship settled into a complex friendship. One charming, though unverified story claims they exchanged Christmas cards for years, with Sinatra signing his as Maggio and Borgnine as Fatso. Borgnine later publicly defended Sinatra, calling him a true colleague and sharing stories of his incredible generosity, like when he moved the ailing actor Lee J. Cobb into his own compound just to make sure he got the best care. So did Borgnine truly hate Frank Sinatra? He seemed to dislike the persona of Sinatra, the demanding star who stood in direct opposition to his own team player mentality. But he also respected the man underneath, the actor who fought for a second chance, and the colleague who showed up when it counted. If the issue with Sinatra was complex, Borgnine's feelings toward Tony Curtis were reportedly much simpler and far more bitter. They were polar opposites, and in Borgnine's world, Tony Curtis represented everything he despised about the Hollywood machine: vanity, superficiality, and a focus on glamour over grit. They worked together on the 1955 boxing drama, The Square, Jungle, and the 1958 epic, The Vikings. Borgnine was fresh off his Oscar for Marty, while Curtis was the handsome matinee idol. According to one explosive but hard-to-verify anecdote from the set of The Square Jungle, the tension turned physical when Curtis allegedly threw a cup of hot coffee at Borgnine. While Borgnine finished the film without public complaint, the incident is said to have cemented a lifelong grudge. It was during the grueling production of The Vikings that their differences truly came to a head. Filmed in the frigid waters of Norway, the shoot was physically demanding. For Borgnine, that was the job. For Curtis, it was allegedly an inconvenience. Reports from the set suggest Borgnine grew intensely frustrated with what he saw as Curtis's prima donna behavior, claiming he was more concerned with his hair and screen time than the work itself. Crew members recalled a cold silence between the two men, punctuated by arguments. This contempt didn't seem to fade. For years, when Borgnine made thinly veiled jabs in interviews about actors who were more concerned with their hair than their craft, it was widely assumed he meant Tony Curtis. This wasn't just a personality clash. It was a fundamental disagreement on what it means to be an actor. Borgnine believed in discipline and humility. Curtis, with his movie star looks, represented a flashier style of stardom that Borgnine found offensive. It was an affront to the Borgnine Code, and in his book that was a sin for which there was no forgiveness. Ernest Borgnine had worked with difficult people, but nothing prepared him for the set of the 1954 Western Johnny Guitar. The film is now a cult classic, but at the time, it was notorious for one thing: the spectacular feud between its star, Joan Crawford, and co-star Mercedes McCambridge. Borgnine, in a supporting role, had a front-row seat to one of the most unprofessional displays he'd ever witnessed. The animosity between the two women was legendary. On set, it was psychological warfare. Borgnine watched in disbelief as the hostility escalated. According to on-set legend, Crawford, in a rage, gathered McCambridge's costumes and threw them onto the side of a highway. The tension got so bad that the director had to film their scenes separately. One day, a shouting match reportedly turned physical, forcing Borgnine and Sterling Hayden to pull them apart. For Borgnine, this was a world away from professional conduct. It was personal vendettas poisoning the entire production. While Crawford's main target was McCambridge, her volatility affected everyone. Another shocking, though unconfirmed, story from that set claims Crawford once hurled scalding coffee at a production assistant who displeased her. True or not, this kind of rumored behavior represented a level of abuse that was unthinkable to a man like Borgnine, who valued every crew member. He was witnessing the weaponization of stardom, where a legend used her power not to elevate a film, but to terrorize her colleagues. The experience on Johnny Guitar became a cautionary tale that shaped his career, reinforcing his preference for ensemble films where teamwork was the reigning value. Beyond the big feuds, Borgnine's blacklist included others whose conduct violated his code. These weren't long-running battles, but single encounters that left a permanent negative impression. On the set of From Here to Eternity, Borgnine formed a strong opinion of the famously troubled Montgomery Clift. Clift was a pioneer of method acting, a style many saw as genius. To Borgnine, however, it looked like professional self-indulgence. In Borgnine's blue-collar world, you left your personal problems at the door. According to anecdotal reports, he saw Clift's brooding style and emotional instability as a selfish weakness that could cause delays and force the production to cater to one actor's psyche. George Peppard was another actor who quickly landed on Borgnine's bad side. He reportedly found Peppard so arrogant and condescending that after one brief collaboration, Borgnine's team was allegedly instructed to turn down any future projects that involved him. For Borgnine, a lack of humility was a cardinal sin. Sometimes, it was just a gut feeling. From his first meeting with Robert Blake, Borgnine reportedly felt a deep distrust, describing him as someone who simply made others feel unsafe. He observed Blake's on-set behavior as hostile and disrespectful, particularly towards crew members, the very people Borgnine believed were the backbone of any production. Years later, when Blake's life became mired in legal trouble, Hollywood, whispers claimed that Borgnine ominously commented he never expected him to be on the right side of the headlines. Whether he actually said it or not, the sentiment captured his initial judgment perfectly. To truly understand Borgnine's principles, it's just as important to look at who he admired. His honor roll was a testament to the values he held sacred. The top of that list was Lee Marvin. Like Borgnine, Marvin was a World War II veteran, which created an immediate bond of respect. They worked together on films like The Dirty Dozen and Emperor of the North. Borgnine recalled their brutal fight scene in Emperor of the North with professional pride, seeing Marvin as the consummate pro, an actor who gave everything, held nothing back, and did the hard work without complaint. He also held screen legends, like Spencer Tracy and Gary Cooper, in the highest esteem. What did he admire most? Their ability to listen. That's what acting is all about, Borgnine once said. Many actors today don't listen. If you watch Gary Cooper, you can see him listening and then answering in turn. The same is true for Spencer Tracy. To Borgnine, this was the mark of a true artist, someone engaged in a genuine exchange, not just waiting for their close-up. And his admiration wasn't just for tough guys. He had a deep, lifelong affection for his McHale's Navy co-star, Tim Conway. He marveled at Conway's comedic genius, but truly respected his work ethic and humility. Their friendship lasted a lifetime, and they even reunited in their later years as the voices of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy on SpongeBob SquarePants, proving that camaraderie was, for him, the most rewarding part of the business. So was Ernest. Borgnine's secret blacklist just a collection of old Hollywood grudges? Not really. His hatred was principled. It was the righteous indignation of a master craftsman watching others misuse the tools of his trade. He wasn't offended by a lack of talent, but by a lack of respect. He wasn't angered by a bad performance, but by bad behavior. His decade in the Navy and his blue-collar beginnings instilled in him a profound belief in discipline, teamwork, and humility. When he saw the arrogance of a star who looked down on the crew, or the vanity of an actor more concerned with their hair than their lines, he saw it as a betrayal of the work and the art form itself. His legacy isn't defined by these feuds, but it is illuminated by them. Behind that iconic, gap-toothed grin was a man of firm convictions, who believed character was more important than charisma, and that respect was the only currency that truly mattered. He was, until the very end, a gunner's mate at heart, always loyal to his crew, with little patience for anyone who threatened to rock the ship. Who is another old Hollywood star whose secret feuds and friendships you'd like to hear about? Let us know in the comments. And for more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next.